During my discussion with foreign policy experts in Singapore, I asked them about an event that took place a couple of months ago, the Russian attack on Georgia. I was struck by how different their discussion on this issue was compared to the ones we hear in New York and Washington. Take a look.
The West had been humiliating Russia for almost 15 or 16 years. And Russia is a proud old country. And if you keep humiliating them for so long, at some point they had to react. And they reacted viciously, as you know, in Georgia, because they said enough is enough. I do not want to have my face scrubbed in the dust one more time. This time I want to send a signal, I will draw a line. And so what amazed me is all the Western commentary tried to portray Georgia as the victim of this exercise, even though the Georgian president instigated the exercise and the Russians were reacting. And of course they were given a perfect excuse to react, but they were sending a broader signal that there's a larger geopolitical issue that they would like the West to come to terms with and to treat Russia as an equal and not as a subservient power.
Raja, how was this seen in India?
I think, as you know, that we've had a relationship with Russia that goes a long time. But yet, I don't think India has supported what Russia has done, essentially because the idea of that you could recognize separatist movements in a particular country as independent, I think is fundamentally unacceptable to India. That we didn't accept Kosovo, we're not going to accept Abkhazia and Ossetia as separate entities. So there is, while we would like to see Russia not humiliated and treated like a great power, but the Russian actions are fundamentally in contradiction with the interests of India and I would say even China, because anybody who has a bit of a problem of separatism are not going to accept what Russia has done.
Simon, the Chinese have been careful to distance themselves from the Russian position, but not too far away.
Yes. Well, I think this is actually correct. What Kishore says is true. I think rising powers, Asian powers, certainly do not want to be in the same position as Russia, where your very real economic strength, etc., is being sort of pinned down, and you are, literally forced back in areas which you consider your backyard. And we are also in an area where the American presence is very real, but there are rising Asian powers. So in some ways, I think we could, if we don't watch it, be in a similar situation. As for China, my own take is China is going to be a big winner in this. Because if tensions rise between Russia and the West, China is going to look like a darling and an angel in comparison.
Because both sides will also be wooing China and wanting it on their side.
Correct.
But Kishore, when one hears the discussion in the United States or even in Europe, it's really all about Georgian democracy, supporting Georgian democracy. Why are you not moved by all this?
Well, I mean, certainly we would like to see the spread of democracy, but there is an incestuous, self-referential, self-congratulatory dialogue among Western intellectuals, which is very, very dangerous because it's a dialogue that reflects the wishes and interests of 10% of the world's population and shuts off the voices of 90% of the world's population, and that's the biggest danger. And certainly no one is opposed to democracy in Georgia. That wasn't the issue at all. But what was the world noticed is that the West keeps stepping and intruding into spaces of other countries and other societies without even being aware that it is doing so. And that's the problem. I mean, the West has basically been on a sort of a triumphant mode since the end of the Cold War. And that over the course of time has built up a lot of resentment towards the West. And that's what I try to talk about. Because I think this resentment is not necessary. I think you can easily, very easily, build bridges between the West and the rest of the world if the West is prepared to accept parity in the discourse between the West and the rest.
And on that note, from Singapore, thank you all very much.